Okay, that thing is off a little bit. Keep it over there.
Let me see if mine is on H3. It might be like thickness.
Got it? Put it in your chair. I know. It's not. She's only now. It's Robin. Because I'm looking at my phone. I use my phone. I don't use it. Because it's not. Ready? Buenos dias. Good morning. Hola. Calling to order this special meeting of the Finance Administration Committee of West County Wastewater on Thursday, 30th of October. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director King Meredith,
Here?
Chair Suddeth,
I am here.
we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Madam Clerk, will you please read for the public in person or participating remotely the rules of the meeting?
On the agenda is to receive an update on and discuss the project stabilization labor agreement. We have not received any written comments. I know. But if anyone would like to make a comment in Zoom, please raise your hand or at the podium. Speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I see no hands and no one approaching for public comment.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, I'm going to ask our Deputy General Manager, Justin Level, to give us an introduction of this item, sir.
All right, so good morning. So this item is to receive an update on the project stabilization labor agreement. So as if you recall, as a committee, we've had over the last couple of years, we've had several kind of updates on the staff end of how that work has been implementing. We've provided a couple months ago, we had an item with the board. So just received direction just to work with the building trades and looking at any changes to an updated agreement. Just as a reminder, the existing PSLA, the way it's structured is that if there's no changes and no actions at the end of the initial 5-year term, it will roll over for another 5 years. And that happens at the end of January of 2026. Or December. Oh, December 31st. Yeah, so it's the end of this year. And so the last couple months, so Angela Andrews and I have been meeting with Tim Sobrania, who's also here with the building trades, looking at just some modifications to the agreement. We've been, so we're still working through more of some of the definitions about like what is covered work and some of those items that we're not ready to bring to show those specific terms yet, but we've had quite a bit of discussion related to good faith efforts, because I know that's been a discussion from the board and from this committee and local hires. And so we thought for this meeting and update, we've come up with some just ideas of how we can have more partnership from our end as staff, as the projects are moving forward to work as well as with the nonprofit partner, the Construction Trades Workforce Initiative. And so with that, I just want to give Tim Sobrane with the Building Trades and welcome Megan Nazareno with the nonprofit arm, which is the Construction Trades Workforce Initiative, to talk about the work that they do to bring in additional people from the area in the West County and just greater Contra Costa area into the trades and the work that they've been doing over the last several years. And with that, I could just bring it up with Tim and Megan, and we can get started.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tim Sobrani. I'm the Executive Director at Contra Costa Building Construction Trades Council. Last time I was here, relatively new to my position, only been on for a few weeks. So since that time, I've had the opportunity to learn more specifically about the work here with WCWD. I've had a lot of conversations with your staff and obviously become more ingrained in the work of the building trades. I'm going to present today jointly with Megan Nazareno of the CTWI, the Construction Trade Workforce Initiative. Try to get there. Perfect. So a few things I want to talk about is, have kind of the outline here, and I'm going to have Megan focus a lot more on the first two parts of it, because I think it's important for the community to know, when we work on workforce development in the city of Richmond and West County, and really county-wide, I want you to know the holistic approach that we take in terms of some of trying to identify people to come into the trades, the pre-apprentice training that we do, and then ultimately trying to get them into the apprentice programs and ultimately hired and dispatched out of our halls. So I want to talk about the holistic approach that we do, some of the work we do with contractors and some of the opportunities with staff. So we have the outreach and recruitment strategies. Do you want to talk about local hiring? Because I know that's a key goal of the committee. Want to talk about some of the strategies that we've implemented successfully in other jurisdictions and what we're looking to do here to really beef up those numbers in partnership with your staff. And again, talk about some of the challenges and some of the other opportunities and ways that we can address that successfully here in the West County Wastewater District. So now I'm going to turn it over to Megan to talk through some of the union workforce development and what we've been doing here specifically in West County.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Justin, for the introduction, and good to meet everyone here. Thank you for introducing our organization, CTWI, our Construction Trades Workforce Initiative. I do want to give a little bit of background onto our organization, because I understand you're meeting with the Building Trades Council, but you may not fully understand the work that we do. CTWI is the workforce development nonprofit arm of the Building Trades Council in Contra Costa County and the other East Bay regions, and we were established to expand the building trades existing workforce development initiatives. So we work with public agencies and school districts to better align their existing workforce systems to the union construction industry. So this slide shows different programs in schools and organizations that we've partnered over the years to, one, increase their connections to the industry, connections to the union apprenticeship programs, and ultimately increase.
Oh,
That's why I was messing with her system.
okay.
I did.
All right, would you like me to repeat the introduction? Was there anyone listening in? Okay.
Okay.
Hello to the Zoom attendees. We just turned the mic on, so hopefully you can hear us better now. So as I was saying, my name is Megan Nazarino. I'm Deputy Director of Programs at Construction Trades Workforce Initiative, or CTWI. We are the workforce development nonprofit arm of the Contra Costa Building Trades Council and the other East Bay Building Trades Council in this region. We were established in 2018 to expand the building trades' existing workforce development initiatives. So we partner with public agencies, with school districts, with community organizations to assess their workforce program and to expand, to strengthen them. So we are looking for more close alignment with the union apprenticeship programs and the union industry. So we do that in multiple ways. So this slide deck, or this slide, shows all the different programs and schools that we've partnered with over the years since the West County Wastewater PLA was signed in 2021. So this is just an example of the work that we do. Some highlights that I want to share is our partnership with Kennedy High School. They began their pre-apprenticeship program development in 2022. We've assisted with directing state funds to Richmond Build, a long-time pre-apprenticeship program established in 2007. And most recently, we've started programs with West Contra Costa Adult School, or Adult Education, and Diablo Valley and Los Medanos colleges. I'm going to go to the next slide. We also monitor our performance regularly. We want to make sure that we're using taxpayer public money responsibly, so we regularly collect data on our programs. So we do this in conjunction with the building trades, their apprenticeship programs, the Division of Apprenticeship Program Standards, and other partners. So some numbers that I want to highlight is how many West County apprentices we currently have in 2024. So we see that we have over 500. Coming from Richmond Build, since we started collecting their data and submitting that to the state in 2021, we have seen over 70 apprentices placed from Richmond Build. And just holistically, programs. Are we working with the educational institutions, the schools that are in this community? And we partnered with 3 new high school and community colleges. In this photo at the top, you see an event where Richmond Build students are actually doing hands-on painting activities with DC 16, District Council 16 painters. And then you also see a pie chart of West Contra Costa apprentices broken down by race and ethnicity.
Do you want to briefly describe what MC3 is, just in case they might not?
Yes, I think.
Is that on the next one?
Okay. So the building trades and C2WI approach workforce development through multiple approaches, through multiple strategies. So our key strategies are outlined on this slide. So the first one is MC3 pre-apprenticeship programs. MC3 stands for Multi-Craft Core Curriculum. It was designed by the various building trades to provide that foundational skills, and it's actually recognized by certain apprenticeship programs to provide expedited entry into their apprenticeship. So it's a comprehensive curriculum. It's designed by the unions back in 2007. So that is our primary curriculum that we help schools implement into their existing classes. The second strategy is PLA local hiring and apprentice goals. We want our pre-apprentices to have somewhere to go after they complete the program, after they've been vetted. So having projects that specifically call out for apprentices and local residents, that helps us sustain this pipeline from pre-apprenticeship to apprenticeship. The third strategy is contractor education organizing. We need contractors to understand how to dispatch from the unions, how to utilize the workers and the apprentices, and also maintain that high level of safety and training. So contractor education and organizing is key. And one project that we've delivered in 2020 was this textbook called Understanding Construction Unions and PLAs. We co-authored this with Construction Resource Center, and it's been an invaluable resource for contractors. And we're actually working on another publication for contractors on how to become signatory, because that process can be confusing if there's no one guiding you. And the last strategy is community outreach. People, the public, have to know about the benefits of unions before they can actually take advantage of them. So the building trades and C2WI are regularly out at events, at trades fairs, at the schools, at the detention facilities to do that outreach. So I'm gonna close my section with just two program spotlights that we're very proud of. The first one is Kennedy High School. We've been working with the Contra Costa Office of Ed, their school and the school district since 2021, and we took 3 years to plan and develop this program. We wanted to make sure we were getting it done right. So we launched the actual MC3 pre-apprenticeship program in 2024, and we're now in the second school year, and we've seen a lot of growth in that program. So we're really happy to see that. We've really enjoyed working with the schools and the students. The other program that we wanted to highlight was Contra Costa Detention Facility. This one's a little bit older. This was established in 2019, which you can imagine was a tough year to start a detention facility program. But really our focus there is to provide effective training while in custody and also ensure a smooth transition or warm handoff post-release. So we're working with the school that's on site, the reentry providers, and the trade partners. So you see a couple apprenticeship programs, union reps, and reentry providers in schools at Marsh Creek Detention Facility. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Tim.
Great, thank you.
Can you just excuse me for a moment? The online is not syncing with the discussion here. It's lagging behind.
It is
Quite a
typical,
bit.
is it?
No, quite a bit.
Oh,
Quite a bit.
Like more
I
than
have to
10
keep
seconds?
hitting refresh before I can see the slides. It's more than a few seconds. It's not, they're not syncing up. So just so you know, because she was on one slide and she was on one, and we were two slides, almost 3 slides behind. So
Okay,
just,
so I'll have to look into our bandwidth right now.
I just want to let everybody know.
Okay, thank you.
That whoever's online may not be following you while you're talking.
Yeah,
So,
great,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
So I think part of the purpose of that broader overview is just so you can kind of see the breadth and the depth of the work that we're doing in this part of the county, and obviously we're doing programs countywide. And our resources, the investment of our affiliates, of our building trades councils, whether it's with CTWI or other agencies, whether it's West County, Contra Costa Unified, whether it's Richmond Build, those investments go where we have agreements in place. So agreements like what we have here are important because then that's what drives our affiliates to do these broader investments in the local workforce. And I think we're starting to see the benefits in terms of putting more people to work within the community that are part of these programs. But I do want to take, as we kind of narrow in, project labor agreements specifically and kind of the local hiring, which I know is a primary concern. But I do just want to start, again, kind of how we got here. Part of the benefit, again, of why we have project labor labor agreements, in addition to, just putting local people to work, is you're looking to get, obviously, the best skilled and trained workers, on the job site. We feel we provide that strong, skilled and trained workforce. Obviously, and when it comes to wastewater districts, there can be a 0% fail rate in terms of your capital projects when they're done, whether maintenance projects, capital projects, given the sensitivity, in terms of, what you're dealing with as an agency. You want to make sure you're putting the very best to work. So, that's kind of what underpins these goals, in addition to making sure that you get projects done, on time and on budget. And, recall from the board presentation, that's been happening over the last 5 years, that we've successfully delivered projects, even if we haven't delivered on one of your specific goals as it relates to getting these local people, where we're doing a lot of this work in the community, but there's been a disconnect in terms of getting them specifically into the agency's work. So we have some strategies around addressing that. But again, I think what I would say is, so we have these agreements in place, and what that essentially means is workers are going to get dispatched from the local union halls, Contra Costa-based union halls for the work here. That doesn't always guarantee that you're going to get Richmond residents on the project, but you are going to get people dispatched out of local halls, and that's been happening. And obviously, your staff has been monitoring the progress, and I think what we need to do is address solutions to some of the challenges. So I think when you look at some of the challenges, and again, some of the solutions, which these next two slides are going to focus on, one of the challenges, I think, number one, local workers, they're assigned to other projects. Simply put, if you are a cement mason and you have a chance to work on a hospital project that you're going to have 2 years of work, whether you're a Richmond resident or not, that you're going to go to where the work is and where there's more work. So if you have a project here locally that maybe is 2 weeks in duration or 2 months in duration, and you have an opportunity to work on a community center or a bigger project somewhere that's going to be 1 year to 2 years of work, you are going to self-identify that you would rather be dispatched somewhere else. So sometimes I think that's something that we just need to deal with. But I think part of what we think is a solution is, if we know, myself, and I've been engaging with your staff regularly. And I think that's one of the things that maybe had been lacking previously. Don't want to say too much about my predecessor, but I don't know if that communication loop was there quite the same. But now we've been engaging. So I think one of the ways we can assign this is, as my communication loop regularly with Justin and with Angela, knowing what's coming, and having local, making sure that that's information is communicated directly to the contractors about the importance of wanting to put these local residents to work instead of just hoping for the best. Sometimes you might not necessarily have local workers available, like just based on the time sensitivity of a project. You don't necessarily want to hold a project up to wait for, a certain resident, because time is money. So sometimes you might not have someone that's available. So I think what we want to do, again, part of that regular engagement, is just understanding that, yeah, there might be some fluctuations, but if we know what's coming ahead of time, we can at least queue some people up. And then I think it's important to note that sometimes local workers move away. Somebody could be a Richmond High School grad who went to Richmond Build, whose parents live in Richmond, whose grandparents live in Richmond, but they happen to, maybe they moved to Martinez, after they've gone through all these things, grew up in Richmond, but then they moved, and then all of a sudden they might be dispatched to a project here with the West County wastewater. They're not necessarily being accounted for in the way the current calculations are done. So one of the recommendations that we look is, hey, we could look at, previous residency, or did they come through some of these different programs? Did they come through Kennedy High School? Did they come through, the program that we're doing at the detention facility? Did they come through Richmond Build or Youth Build? Because we're not accounting for that at all right now, but that happens. And we know that happens sometimes, that people are Richmond, true and true, but they may not necessarily live in the city of Richmond at the time that they're dispatched onto a project. So I think a better accounting for that would also be helpful. In terms of some other things that we would like to include in the amendment, I think number one, this is something that has not been happening, is making sure that these local hiring goals are in the bid documents themselves. Because when the bid documents go out, contractors bid, and there's been a disconnect in terms of the board's priorities in local hire and some of that specific verbiage making it into the bid document, so that way the contractor knows that, hey, you know what, there is a local hire expectation and goal here that we need to meet. So as we're working on the amended agreement, that becomes an important thing that we're recommending is, hey, let's make sure we put that in the bid documents, We also do pre-job conferences, for every union job that gets put out. So previously, in other jurisdictions where there's a local hire, it's part of the pre-job conference, like, hey, there's an expectation that a certain amount of people are gonna be from this local community. Contractors know that, the union halls know that, it's part of the pre-job conference. So that's something that we do, again, as part of the bid documents, once a contract is awarded, that those things are relayed at the pre-job conferences. And that goes to the second point on this slide, is that the technical assistance to contractors. And that's where CTWI comes into play. We have resources for contractors like the book that Megan shared, but a lot of it is really just communication in real time, is making sure that, once a contract is awarded, Justin and Angela the very next day, or whoever on your staff, is putting them in touch with me. Hey, contractor, X, they're awarded, and they're putting me in an email communication with right then, right that next day. That hasn't been happening, and that's one of the things that we think will make a difference. If I know in real time, oh, this contractor, okay, hey, there's an expectation and a goal that we're hiring out of Richmond, so what's the strategy? And we can get Megan on the call, her team at CTWI, and we just walk through some of the strategies. Again, it's not going to guarantee 100% placement out of Richmond, but it's one of those things that we can do to increase the metrics, and those metrics that we haven't been hitting because we haven't been intentional in our approach. So we're looking to be much more intentional. The third bullet point's been very successful in other jurisdictions. Doesn't exist here, as a joint administrative committee, monitors the PLA, local hiring, meets quarterly. I do that with BART, I do that with other agencies, where we'll meet, and it's kind of like goes along the lines of, yeah, there's gonna be a quarterly meeting, and some quarters, those meetings might be pretty short. If there's no projects coming up, there's nothing in the queue, we at least know, hey, there's not really much coming out, but in 6 months, we're looking to go to bid with this, and in 9 months, we're going to look to bid with that. Great, might be a shorter meeting. If you have multiple projects moving forward, it might be a little bit of a longer meeting. Okay, what's coming forward? Who's bidding? What contracts are being awarded when? When are they going to be put in touch with me so we can make sure, that we're working to try to get folks out of the hall? That's one of the things that we think would happen, because your staff is definitely monitoring, but I think without that connection between me and Megan and, our team, there's a disconnect. So we're doing a lot of great work. We're in the community, we're doing pre-apprentice, we're directing large sums of money to Richmond Build. We're doing these things, but we got to make that step to connect the work that's happening here with the projects that you're moving forward. So that's what we're looking to do, and we think with the just adding a few of these components to the agreement, I think it'll make a huge difference. We do caution against like mandates. The only thing I would say is sometimes mandates could end up hurting your own residents. If other communities had mandates that said, well, only Concord residents can work on this, or only certain residents can work on that, you might have residents of Richmond who've gone through all these programs that may be barred from working in other areas. So when we focus more on good faith and a multitude of strategies, tools in our tool belt to try to increase the likelihood of getting more West County residents, Richmond, San Pablo to work, but it not necessarily as a strict mandate, because again, if there's a hospital project in another community that could put a Richmond resident to work for 2 years, if that community had a mandate that said, nope, only residents of our city, it keeps your people on the out of work list. And our job is to employ, folks, whether it's on projects in West County wastewater or wherever the work is. So I think that might be it in terms of the presentation. Just really want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest in obviously putting local do that. The relationships built with staff, and obviously now with our nonprofit arm, CTWI, which has always been a partner. But I think Megan would agree we've really strengthened the partnership since, I've gotten on board and working closely with Megan and her team to try to make these things a reality. I'm an educator by trade, 24 years in the classroom, so to me, this type of things in terms of engaging in the community, putting local people to work, that's what I'm all about. So, and that's what I'm looking to do here. Want to be able to address any questions that you have, any concerns, any issues, and then strategies on ways that we can make this the very best agreement that meets all of our mutual goals. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, all right, all right. All right, Director King Meredith, before I ask you a question, I do have a question. And this may be for Deputy General Manager level or Ms. Andrews. Yes, for the two of you, don't, and you two don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Just park the way, just park the way.
Hello.
My
morning.
question is, so before we get started, because I need some context, do we have the updated numbers for Q3, Q4? Because I have not seen them. Is that me? Oh, my good Lord. Over here, you turned it on. There you go. I'm like, I like to hear me, but not like this.
So for the PSLA, the most updated number we received were in July, and we had 11 employees identified, and 10 of them were in Contra Costa. One was in West Contra Costa, Richmond.
But the
For the
majority of
Clean and
those
Green.
came through
The Clean and Green.
NG. They came through Clean and Green and
Yes.
NG and the contractor. I want to know the other numbers. Do we have those numbers? Do we have an update on those other numbers?
other numbers we
From
do
the outreach numbers to West County agencies? Because that's where the concern started. And this is where we addressed this the last time. So I wanted to see, has there been a change from 6 slides of 0?
So
To
the,
now.
so the outreach, the two areas where they were finding local hire was the local union halls and local apprenticeship programs. Those were the outreach efforts that were identified out of the list that we forwarded before.
Right.
Now-
That's what we had, but those local union halls are in Martinez, or in Concord. And I think one of the issues that we saw was that you don't know about the local union hall because, and you don't know about the jobs because you know, and so these might be geared towards Megan, one of the questions, and I'm not gonna ask you yet, but that's the concern. The concern is we need to see the effort numbers, and I know you don't have them here today, but we will need those, okay? So let me have Director King Meredith ask her questions, and then I'll come back. Madam?
Yes, thank you, Chair Sutter. And to you all, thank you for the presentation, but I do have some questions. And mine is really geared into looking at the effort for West County, and that includes Kennedy. I see that we have something for Kennedy High, Richmond, Beale, also, and it seems like those are the only 2 hubs so far. Do we have any other for West County?
I can give you the list right now of all the locations where we do the outreach and where the contractor has identified where they have made that outreach. Give me 1 second.
Okay, thank you. That was, okay, so why she gets that up. The other was the training that took place. You know, what is the, it seemed like it's only for, what is the age? What is the age? I see that you go into Kennedy High. Where do you start? Is it from 18 to 25, 18 to 30? What is the cutoff age? What is the age that is presented through these apprenticeships at this point for West County?
For apprenticeship programs, typically you have to be at least 18. Certain programs allow you to be 17 and a half, 17. But for the pre-apprenticeship programs that are at Kennedy High School and at Richmond Build, it depends on the program. Kennedy High School, we target seniors because we want them to be job ready before they graduate. So they're typically 17 years old. For Richmond Build, that's an adult program, so you have to be 18 or over. And then for the detention facilities, they're also 18 and over.
Okay. And my question to that, I've had individuals to ask me, and they were older, you know, I'm seeing, you know, like late 20s, you know, early 30s, you know,
Yeah.
really wanting to be a part, you know, and to be looked upon as for employment. So I'm just seeing, I'm trying to find out what is the age limit, who do they contact, for this? I know Angela's looking for, she's getting ready to give me the point of interest where individuals come and to look for jobs. What is the effort? I just have.
Yeah, just looking at the
Right,
adult
okay, I'm
programs.
sorry, I'm going on and on.
No
but-
worries.
okay.
I'm saying 18 and over, but I would say the average age is anywhere between 25 to 35. And it depends on the time of the cohort. I will say after high school graduation, come spring, they have a lot more younger adults in their program, but in other cohorts that are offered later in the year, you're getting generally older. But the range in these programs are quite wide. And in the apprenticeship programs, the average age for a new apprentice is anywhere between 25 to 30. So a lot of folks just realize they want to enter construction, enter apprenticeship when they're later in their later in their life. So we're trying to bring that number down by working more closely with the high schools and the community colleges, because that's a lot of years as a young adult to not have a good job, not to have a good wage.
But I do want to just address that, but for all ages, there's not really oh, you're 40, it's too late. No, I mean, we do these job fairs, and that's the average range, but we get people in all the time.
Right.
Who are older, maybe they're mid-career, they realize this is something they want to do. We were just, and how they get in, just so you know, we were at San Pablo, the EDC hosted a career fair, and we were there, and multiple crafts were there, and the building trades were there, talking about, hey, if you want to be an electrician, here's how. You want to be a sheet metal worker, here's how. And we have our apprentice coordinators and the contact information. So we do job fairs and career fairs all the time where we're there. Angela was one of our Coro fellows, was just at an adult school last week. So we do that all the time. So if there's job fairs that you guys want us to be, or things that we hear about in Richmond or anywhere, we're there because we want to get people in to fill these positions.
Good, because I do have a place, and I don't know if I'll see, once Angela
Yes,
present
so-
them to me, I'll see if that place is
Yes.
one of the hubs.
Yes.
Ms. Angela, we never let you properly introduce yourself
Yeah,
to the
so we
audience.
just- you're right, 'cause
So
we
could you do that? Could you lead with that?
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
and then
Angela-
answer the question?
Yes, Angela Andrews, Director of Infrastructure and Planning. And
you.
we have identified 11 items that the contractor is able to check off if good faith outreach efforts. So the first one we have, number one, is Richmond Build, City of Richmond Employment Training Development Department, Richmond Works Career Center, San Pablo Economic Development Corporation, Contra Costa Building, Construction Trades Council, local apprenticeship programs, recruitment program for district residents, and we have local referrals for Union Hall, Contra Costa Community College, educational institutions, trade institutions, and then we have the option of identifying other, where they're able to fill in what other outreach efforts they have identified. And I would say the local apprenticeship programs and local referrals from a Union Hall are the two that have been checked from the last report.
Okay.
So say
Okay,
that again,
so-
the last two, the local.
Local apprenticeship programs and local referrals from Union Halls were the two that were checked from the last report.
Okay.
So there is an opportunity for them to identify other locations. We also can update the form if there's additional groups that we should identify here as part of the good faith efforts as well.
Yeah, and I want to
I
get
do
into
have-
that, but I don't want to do that yet, but I want to get into that part in a moment.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I do have, and I'll get with you, I do have a couple that will actually plug into West County in the communities, which will be the Youth Service Bureau and Community Housing Development. I don't know if you all are familiar.
But let's do that list.
Okay, so we'll get into that, so let me
We'll-
just
we'll get
back
into
it
that
up.
one.
Yeah, we
We'll
get
get
into
into
that. But
Yeah, I just want to also remind us that does sign an agreement to be bound to the PSLA, and in that agreement to be bound, that's when they acknowledge their good faith efforts in that agreement to bound, and so to be bound. So that's where the project manager gets that sign off, and then we'll have an introduction to the project, and then they meet with the trades, and then they identify what areas they can do those good faith outreach efforts for the different trades for the job.
okay, very good. So that is one conversation we always have at the Municipal Advisory Council. But again, like I said, I will get with you.
Okay, great.
And align those individuals and those contacts.
We'll do it
The other-
today, I just wanna.
Yeah,
I just
so
wanna-
the other, the other question, we mentioned the way, you mentioned before that some individuals previously may start with the program and eventually move away into another area. By that, do you keep up a waiting list for individuals? Do you track them? Do you track the individuals like for 2 years or a year, just in order to get back to them, say that they went through the program, they actually gone through the program, and something comes up, in West County that may fit? Is it any way you reach back out to these individuals? Do you have them on a waiting list for a year or two?
They're not necessarily on good question. And I do just want to go back to one of those things. Some of those entities that Angela referenced, it was interesting when she mentioned San Pablo EDC, because we're working with them too. I know the chair mentioned like NG, they're a signatory contractor. Our members work for NG, or they get contracted out by NG. So sometimes I think, even as we try to do the best we can to capture all this data, some of the fact are, I mean, those are still local residents, maybe working on a project through NG, but they're still signatory coming out of the halls. So I did want to just make sure that that's noted. And some of the entities that Angela is working with, like the community colleges, lockstep partnership with them, and we are the LEA, they're the LEA. A lot of our apprentice programs work directly with them. That's where we recruit our members. We're at Contra Costa Community College, getting our members on the job site, specifically tabling at the community college. Say, hey, come join a craft, come work for us. So I think there's a lot of kind of synergy and overlap. But I think getting back to your specific question, I think it's something we could probably do a better job of tracking. We know it happens. We do keep track of where folks go, where they came from. If they started with Richmond Build, pre-apprentice, into the thing, into a specific craft, and then getting dispatched. But I actually think it's worth doing a better job of tracking more of where folks are that are coming out of MC3. I know, Megan, you guys track at least where some of the MC3 graduates, where they end up, kind of where their point of residency, where they started. And that's something that we could even ask our, local union officials to do, just saying, hey, let's track the residency over time. And that's why I think the recommendation is 5 years, because again, somebody comes through these programs, they move away, but they're still Richmond true and true. They happen to live in Pinole. They happen to live in, maybe they moved to Berkeley, maybe they moved to Martinez, but they came through these local programs. So we want to work closer with you and work closer with everyone to track that data, because I think it is important to track that. It's not being captured currently.
Okay, because I do, like I said, in the past, I've had individuals come to me, they've gone through the youth build that was actually, and you're probably familiar with it, in West County, in North Richmond, went through youth build, and they did some jobs, they did the whole, whole 9 yards, getting certificates and the whole bit, and then it wasn't anything available within local hire for them. So I just, I'm just trying to see where the tracking is with that.
You make such an important point. I think it's worth capturing, because we talk about that all the time as part of the underpinning behind why PLAs are important for us. Megan and her team can do all this great work with pre-apprentice, and we could work with Youth Build and Richmond Build, all the different programs to get people in, but if there's no work for them on the back end, they end up just leaving the profession entirely. So part of what we're trying to do is saying, look, we're making all these good faith investments on the front end to get people into these apprentice programs. We need to make sure there's jobs on the back end, whether it's with WCWD, City of Richmond, West, Contra Costa Unified, wherever, private development that, has a PLA requirement. So we try to do as much as we can, both on the front end through Megan and her team, and then on the back end, working with public agencies and working with private developers to put these folks to work. It is a partnership, it's a continuum, and it requires all of us to kind of be focused together on that.
Okay, and then,
We do regular tracking with our MC3 programs, so our typical schedule is quarterly. So we completed a quarter recently, and we did have 2 Richmond Build students actually get placed into the flooring apprenticeship program. But they're working all over the Bay Area. Construction is the original gig economy. You go to where the work is. That's why it's called journeymen. So they're journeying to where the work is.
That's right.
okay. And just one more, and then I'll turn on and we'll bounce back you know, I'll think of some others. But for right now, just one more thing. You spoke about what it is to disconnect and the disconnecting and how to, you know, that solution. What does it look like now, you know, since you've started seeing, you know, how you building, you know it's a challenge, and how can you connect? What is, you know, what is some of the solutions that you're using to connect?
Well, I think a lot of it's just been conversations about what the new agreement could look like and what could go in it. But I think some of the specific things that we identified that we would put into the new agreement is, or the renewal, it's not a new agreement, it's a renewal, is making sure this language is included in the bid doc. And the most specific thing that we haven't done yet, the joint quarterly meetings. I think that's the key, that's the most important thing. And where we're successful on local hire, and what I mean by that is getting a higher percentage of local residents on jobs, is just quarterly meetings that are intentional about what projects are coming up, and, you know, how can we get folks from the local halls, local residents on these? It's no guarantee in every instance, but we're able to increase our numbers dramatically when we do that. So some of the conversations that we've had have been really more about, hey, well, how do we want to add these things to the agreement? You know, what are some of those things that we could add, you know, coming back here, coming back before your full board later? That have been primary part of our conversations. But what I envision is, if this agreement, assuming it's renewed in December, that, hey, in January, we start our quarterly meetings. And then the meetings shift, not so much to, hey, what should go into the agreement, how do we want to do this, but more it's like, okay, what projects are coming up? You know, Megan, okay, where can we do to dispatch apprentices and some of these things, you know, on these different projects? You know, the other benefit I would just say of a PLA that I didn't cover is it also, for a smaller agency like this one, a lot of that administrative overhead in terms of the labor compliance as it relates to prevailing wage, as it relates to job classifications, certified payroll, all those things that you would have to do without a PLA on your staff, those are things you don't have to worry about, because those things are just covered. We're getting the proper bidders, you know, we're monitoring that ourselves. So it also, that's one of the things I didn't talk about, I think is an important and additional benefit to a PLA, is it creates less burden on staff to have to track and do that level of compliance, because those are legal obligations. If the PLA were to go away, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get better local hire metrics, but then you also create a lot more burden on staff to track all of those things themselves, where right now those are things that they don't have to worry about the same way, because it falls into the agreement, and we're monitoring.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. All right, I found what I was looking for, because I'm very good at saving the document. It was from April 16th of this year. That was the last time. We didn't have an update in July. And what it said was the local hires in West Contra Costa were 9 on the Clean and Green project, 0 on Lower San Pablo. The local hires in Contra Costa was 11 on Clean and Green and 0 in Lower San Paulo. But that's not what caused me the most grief and caused the board as a whole the most grief. It was the next section on good faith outreach efforts. And in that, we had 1 local apprenticeship program that was contacted. We had 1 local referral from a union hall. But then I started looking at Richmond Build, 0. City of Richmond Employment Training Department, 0. Richmond Works Career Center, 0. San Pablo Economic Development Corporation, 0. Contra Costa Building Construction and Trades Council, yours, 0. Recruitment Program for Direct Residents, 0. Local referrals from Contra Costa Community College, 0. Local referrals from educational institutions, 0. Local referrals from trade institutions, 0. Other, 0. And then we dug down deep, the rest of the slides dug down deep into that. And that's a concern. I hear what you're saying now.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful, and it sounds like what I've been asking for, but it's been 5 years, and we've gotten 0. And we are the ones, while I appreciate the conversations with staff is not the ones who are getting hit with questions as the elected officials who have to go out and say, you know, we need you to support this bond. We're gonna do this bond for this $90 million project.
Yeah.
And you know what the question comes back to us is, how can I get one of those jobs?
Yeah.
Right? And then we're the ones who will have to stand behind if we have to increase the rates. They're not coming to staff. They're coming to each of the 5 of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the major questions, as Director King Meredith alluded to, is I'm paying for this, but I can't get a job. My son can't get a job. My nephew can't get a job. My niece, my daughter can't get a job. I love the term journeyman, but I would really like to see some women coming through
Many
these halls.
persons, yeah.
Just saying. And I know that because I have friends who work for Isbe Mad who've come through the apprenticeship program, and they have a direct development pipeline for women in the trades. And I don't see that happening either. I don't see where we are reflective of, I didn't ask for, I'm gonna be honest with you. My chest was turning when you said the workforce development program and to establish some local hire. Wonderful. I think it's great, because I didn't ask for that. I asked for good faith efforts, because I know you can't guarantee the local hire. But I'll take it, because this is what I want, because the good faith efforts has yielded us 0. That is the biggest concern. The concern is that we heard this, and I don't know, Tim, if you remember, but even when your predecessor was here, I helped bring this issue to the district. I went out, I toured your facility, we had lunch, and I said, sure, come, I love it, bring it out here, right? But, you know, my husband's a longshoreman, and I gotta tell you, this is as secretive as how do you become a longshoreman. It's how you get a job on one of these projects. He's like, what do I have to do? And I'm sitting here like, I can tell you how to go down there and fill out a form and get into the lotto pool for the port quicker than I can tell you how to do this. Because it's a mystery to our residents. And Richmond proper is one of the most economically constrained areas in Contra Costa County. And we can't keep going back to them. This is one of the reasons we wanted to look at this is we can't keep going back to Richmond, San Paulo, North Richmond, a little bit of Pinole. I'm in El Sobrante, right? I'm gonna take that one out. I'll take that one out. But you can't keep going back to them and saying, we need more money. We need more money. This will be good for you later. This will be good for your children later. And then no jobs.
They need a job now. Yeah.
And I get it, because these are very well-paid jobs. The union is fantastic. I've heard it over and over again that you've delivered on the projects. You said it today, on time, on budget, and the quality is great. But I just refuse to believe that we don't have anyone in West County, in West Contra Costa County. I didn't even say just Richmond. In West Contra Costa County, that is from El Cerrito all the way up. I didn't even just say West WCWD area, but no one in West County can, swing a hammer, turn a wrench, put on some hip boots, get in there and do the job. And I'm going from the numbers that you all gave us. I'm not going from supposition. I'm not going from anything else, but the numbers that we were provided in our last report, and then we had 9 carpenter apprentice, 1 laborer, 1 mason, 1 operator, 1 electrical, 13 jobs on clean and green. But these are not our only projects. Because even in that meeting, and I'm not gonna read them all off, there were a number of projects over the $1 million threshold, and a couple very close to the $1 million, 942, 897. In case you know, though, this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I'm a contracts manager. This is what I do,
Yeah.
right? I've been doing construction contracts management for over 20 years. So I'm very familiar with this, and I'm familiar with PLA. I'm perplexed on, it's not the guaranteeing us that we're going to have X number from the area. It's the GFE is not there. And so maybe the E is there, but the GF isn't. I don't know, or maybe the GF is there and the E isn't. I don't know, but something's missing. And I wanted to hash it out here before we get to the full board, because I'd rather not have a long protracted conversation there, but I'd rather you tell us, we work together here in this committee meeting to figure out, because some of what you said is good, some of your recommendations are good, and along with staff, you know, what are the recommendations we can put forward? Because it's not going to auto-renew. I heard that you guys are working on some changes which will affect, you know, the contract, which is, that's staff. I try not to get into the operational, to the waters of the staff. I let them drive that ship, except for this one. This one,
Yeah.
the PSLA is just very, very important to me. It's important that we support labor, and it's important we support community, and I don't think they should be mutually exclusive, right?
100% agree. You know, I mean, Madam Chair, I mean, we can and need to do better. We must do better. And I've been in a past life, you know, I was a mayor of a local community in the East Bay. So I know the accountability, it's, you know, you have staff, but the accountability, they come to you. You're the one that people recognize, you're on the board. So, you know, they're like, why is this not? So I 100% understand that. I would say in Pittsburgh, we had a couple different issues. And a lot of it, it's not really that complicated, is where we've landed in Pittsburgh, it's an agreement approves on their council meeting on Monday, and on Tuesday, an email goes to me, you know, as the head of the building trades, like, hey, we approved, and it comes from their public works director, you know, hey, this contract got approved, we're building this park, or, oh, we're doing this, you know, facility. And they usually do a warm handoff. Meet Tim, he's with the building trades, you know, and that's, so some of it, we can get really complicated in the weeds, but I honestly believe that simple approach, and I think even yourself at your meeting, as you're about to approve whatever contract for whatever it is, and their representatives in the audience, like, I expect you to be in touch with Tim and Megan, you know, and we'll work through staff, and that's, I think if we just do that one step, I really believe that's the good faith effort that'll make a huge difference, is just having that warm handoff in real time. Because I think absent that is where some of the disconnect is, where good things are happening all over, but I think that warm handoff in real time will make a huge difference.
I agree with you. I think that that's a good recommendation. Yeah, and that's, you know, I know I don't mind saying it from the dais, that's an expectation for the board in order to approve the agreement. And then, you know, staff can work out how they can get that done. Like I said, I stay on this side when it's operational. A couple of other things. Go ahead.
I just really want to emphasize Tim's recommendations for including the PLA in the bid documents, because contractors are bidding this work and it's tied to their contract, and they're not going to do anything outside of their contract.
Sure.
And I also want to emphasize the quarterly joint administrative committee. People won't know that they're doing something wrong unless you tell them.
Right.
And you also need to tell them what your expectations are and how you're grading them, how you're assessing them. So having that dashboard of their good faith efforts, their performance, having them in their face every quarter would be a reminder, hey, you're not meeting the expectation, you're not meeting your contract obligations, you need to course correct. So I compare to the Prius effect, where if you have a dashboard showing how you're doing and how it's benefiting you and your community, then you'll change how you're behaving. So I just want to echo Tim's top two recommendations. I think that's the first step. Long-term, we could explore enforcement mechanisms where your performance in local hiring could impact your chances of getting the next job with the public agency. But that's a long-term, I think, strategy. I think first step is what we've described during our presentation.
Thank you. I was going to get to that too. You want to say something?
I was just going to say, I just wanted to acknowledge the efforts of the project management team, because prior to the April reporting, the project management team for the projects that were under the PSLA did do an outreach to the contractors, reminding them of the PSLA, and that's how we end up getting at least two ticks off of that outreach. So just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that. And then we can do some things internally, as well as reminding Tim of when our capital plan is coming out. And everyone knows it's usually a mid-year and the end of year, so we'll make sure that they are on that listserv of when that comes out. And then we can also add them to the listserv of when our projects go out for an RFP, so they are aware.
Okay, so there's a couple of things there. Yes.
Could I also add?
Go ahead.
West County's templates for the solicitations of this volume, this size, already do have information regarding the local hiring goals and the good faith efforts in that process. So that information is in there in our templates now. So when we're looking at that item number 1, just that box is actually ticked already.
I'm just good thing you interrupted me because I was just about to say it. I'm glad you said it. You said it, so it come from you. Okay, thank you for that. All right, I want to go down my list, and then Director Kim Meredith, if you want to chime in, you just tap me and let me know. Don't hit me though. Just tap me. Um, a couple of things on this. So. I don't think we're in disagreement with the top recommendations. I think that's, and thank you for General Counsel saying that, because that was a question that I wanted to confirm. But I want to go back. Let's go back to the beginning of how this rolls out. When you're doing the training and and I'm glad to see CTWI, is that correct? CTWI here as well. I think that's what I would like to see, and Director, please chime in. I would like to see that coordinate with the list of organizations that have been identified, that have been, because a lot of people come from not just these few, but those organizations. We have a veterans organization right here in Richmond that serves the entire Contra Costa, and no one has talked to them, right? We have, Ms. Rhonda Harris is always asking, do we have anything? And I've spent most of my career working with veterans with disabilities who can't do the service work, but they can do this kind of work. We want to make sure that we're getting, not just, we have what is he called? Something to hard hats. Helmets to hard hats.
That's right, they get
I don't know
direct entry.
why.
Yeah.
It was like I was having a brain
Yeah.
brain freeze. Helmets to hard hats. And then we have all of our schools, right, have some type of program for people who don't want to go to traditional 4-year or even junior college. So this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I think you start in middle school. You don't start, of course they can't work, but you start the outreach in, 6th grade. So that they know these kind of careers are, because these 4th and 5th graders that I've been talking, when they bring me to the school to talk, and they're all over anything having to do with the environment, right? And they're over anything that has to do with improving it. So talking to them then, and here's your chance to make, this is not just construction. This is a career choice that impacts the environment. Because it's not just like you're building just a building. You are building a system that is going to affect, the quality of water, wastewater, access, people who don't have. It's that kind of conversation. And that is a joint conversation with the district on how to present that, right? And I think that what I would like to see, when you talked about, but Ms. Andrews say, remind you when the capital plan is coming out, and remind you when like a bid or bid documents are going out. I think I would like to see maybe you should just have a physical presence here when you know that it's coming up. And I say that I work at a transit. I work in transit in the daytime, and I manage the procurement department. And I'm going to tell you, those guys, when they see their contract on the agenda, they're in the boardroom, waiting to hear if there's any questions, if there's any concerns, mostly waiting just to hear that it's approved. But this is what they really want to know, and then they're gone. But I think having you there or here both of you or somebody representing you here when we are having these discussions, whether it's in the finance committee and then we forward it on, or the general board meeting, is important. And it's important in case someone does have questions, but I think it's less about importance for me personally than it is to show the public that you are making, that we're changing this around. It's not gonna be zeros, right? That you're making these good faith efforts and we're getting this. I like the idea of the joint committee. And along with that, I also think you should come before the board and give a quarterly report. I know we're going to get it from staff, but I think you should be here when that's happening. Either to give the report and have staff back you up, or the flip side, right? They give the report and you back them up with these kind of numbers saying what you've actually been doing. Because, you know, you told us the story behind the numbers, but the numbers themselves, when someone looks at this online, and it's shockingly stark, and it's a slap in the face for, because this is a taxpayer-based system, right? And I know because I just got my tax bill in the mail 2 days ago that told me how much I have to pay, how much I have to pay to West County wastewater, right? And so you want to be able to do that. The other thing is that the conversation about local hire, I want to go to that slide. You made a comment, Mr. Sabrante, about the challenges, but also, about, yes, and about revising the definition of local hire.
Yeah.
I think it was going in the direction I was hoping it would go in, is the tracking of workers. But I think that also means he's also tracking the good faith efforts, right? Because I think they have to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you don't have good faith efforts, you're not going to get the workers.
Right.
Right? And then on your end, training. So if you're training them, and I saw the slide about how many were trained or how many are coming from West County, but how many are coming on these projects that we have? We have some of the biggest projects in West County, the money-wise, right? And this project has been going on for quite a long time. It's not just like, 6 months. So I don't know if the definition needs to be changed. I'm gonna leave that to general counsel because, like I say, I stay in my side of the car. But I'll leave that to general counsel. I do want to say that it has to do more with the organizations that they're stemming from, because, I mean, let's just be honest, some people can't afford to, if they don't have jobs, they can't afford to live in certain places. Richmond isn't on the high end of that, but it's pretty expensive. I'll let somebody else give you the numbers for this. But can we look at, I would like to look at where's the effort made, right? You say you can't guarantee that means they'll get a job when they get to the hall. I understand that, and I think most people understand that. We just got to get them to the hall.
Yes.
Right? We got to get them to understand that these jobs are available. We have to get them to understand what that entails. We have to get them to understand if they need training, they can go to this organization. If they need, whether it's they're beginning out, they're returning, they are enhancing their skill set. They're a woman in the trades. I'm just gonna keep saying that, but I just like
I mean,
it.
there's a lot to unpack, and in my head, I'm just coming up with like process refinements.
Well, stop me so you can say
Yeah,
it, because
so
it's a
like,
conversation.
the
It's a
first
conversation.
comment that you made was we want to update our list of community partners. And 100%, you guys have a great list right now. We work closely with Richmond Works, with the director there. I mean, she's overseeing multiple programs, but the two that we're most closely partnered with is Richmond Build and Youth Build. So we're happy to review that list again and see what makes sense. And I also think we need to bring the contractors to the programs, because contractors interview in the spot, they want that face-to-face interaction before they are willing to hire someone. So aligning project schedules with program schedules. So the ideal scenario is there's a project going out to bid, they're about to get awarded or they have been awarded, and they come to a Richmond Build graduation. It's hard to get that to line up perfectly, but that's where we've seen the most success with people actually getting placed shortly after completing their program. You also made a comment about tracking good faith efforts. I think it's great. I think it's important that we track all of those good faith efforts, but I also want us to be mindful of what is the overall goal? What is the 20% or 30% local hiring goal, and are they meeting that? Because if they're already meeting that goal, then you don't need to go through step 4, step 5 in the good faith efforts because you're already doing great. So I just want us to also keep in mind, what is your overall performance? And then,
No, stop there. And
yes,
then-
let's-
no, I want to talk about that one.
okay,
But good faith efforts is important. It's very, very important because these are the organizations that are supporting us and we are supporting, and that those of us in the community have a very straightforward relationship, right? And two of the organizations that the Director King Meredith mentioned earlier, I mean, those are organizations that we work with, whether it's to get out the word that there's jobs or to get out the word that we need to come and meet with you so we can talk about not just careers, but also we got this process. We may have to raise the rate, so we need to raise some money to do the clean and green project. And you know, these are trusted messengers. We are trusted messengers for them, and they are trusted messengers for us in the community. So good faith matters, right? It matters from that aspect. Doesn't matter that you're meeting 20% if that 20% is coming from one small area and no one else knows about it. We didn't even ask for a percentage, by the way. I just want to make sure we say
Yeah.
that. But if we did ask for a percentage, I still think it needs to be broader. And then I will, again, I'm going to leave that to General Counsel to help word that, because even the good faith and the local hire, it needs to represent the community. And I see it's very skewed, you know. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, I'm Latino too, so I'm not mad at it, but I am mad at it because I want to see more women. I want to see more, you know, Black residents, because we get those complaints that that a lot of our Black residents are pushed out of the construction trades. All of them. They don't get the notice. They're not at the union halls. They get it late, right? One day to show up. And so
I better understand now.
Yeah, these
on my other
organizations help you.
projects, Good
Yeah.
faith efforts is the path to meet the overall local hiring goal.
both.
But it's both here at West County
yes,
Wastewater.
we want them
Okay.
parallel. Because the good faith effort, to
right.
me, the outreach that the trades does, if you let, say, the helmets to hard hats know that we have this job and this is what's going on, you can also let them know, by the way, there's this training program you probably haven't heard of that brings people into construction work. And because I can tell you right now, I do a lot of business, and until you said exactly what you do, I didn't know what you do. I didn't know what you did. Hopefully we can pass this along, this meeting along to people, and they will know. But that's part of good faith too, is the training, and the other part of it is they can speak for you. These organizations can speak for you. So when someone comes in and say, I don't know what I want to do, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to go to college, my mom is on my back, my daddy is saying I got to do something, what do you think I should do? And then that organization says, look, we got some programs here that we'd like you to look at. And then they can start funneling them to CTWI, right? Which will funnel them to the building trades. But you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And this was happening here in West County. They don't know.
Yeah, your point's so well taken, especially talking about the helmets to hard hats. We got this great program, but if nobody knows about it, it doesn't do any good. So obviously, we're in a more formal setting in this meeting, but these are the types of things we could talk offline. If there's a few folks, starting with, you know, the Veterans Hall here in Richmond, I can get the helmets to hard hat. I mean, Nick Weathers, I could text you right now, like, hey, Nick, they need you to come down to Richmond. You know, we'll figure out a date and time, and you know, we'll get them there, and then that way the people there learn and know about it. Know, hey, there's direct entry. Here's what we provide. We have these things in our tool belt, and we do a terrible job of promoting some of the things that we the resources that we have. So I think collectively as a partnership, working directly with you as board members, working with your staff, working with CTWI, we can increase those metrics.
I like it. I want to know and I'm going to ask this of our general counsel, the Joint Administrative Committee, the establishing of that, because there's one that, I'm glad you said it because I was thinking ad hoc committee myself, but oversight committee is what I was thinking, which is very similar to this and we're able to do these. Can we do it through an ad hoc? Can we do it through an official committee?
We certainly can do it. The question is whether or not a committee like that would be subject to the Brown Act or not, and if that's the desire. And so we can talk about it to see exactly, it really comes down to who's going to sit on the committee and how it's going to be formed.
Yeah, I do want to make sure we have board presence on the committee, and maybe even community presence with, don't know who yet, but somebody from the organization who,
That may just mean that it's a Brown Act committee.
yeah, I mean, I think I'm fine with it being a Brown Act committee. It doesn't bother me. I would just like to, I think the accountability factor, the public accountability factor is where I am thinking. The residency requirements, I think we talked about that. I have no desire to be restrictive. I think that it's not really a mandate, is more, again, I lean, even though we would like to have this local higher percentage and requirement, I lean on the good faith effort. Because you can't guarantee that the people you send are going to work, for how long they're going to work, if they're the right people. But if you don't tell them, you'll never get any.
Yeah, just write it in the contract that way.
No, and that's why I'm gonna leave it to general counsel to figure that out, and she'll let us know if she has questions about what we mean. But the regular engagement, I think, is also important. You mentioned, having that regular engagement with staff, and then I'm going back to also having the regular engagement with the board so we can have visibility that you're doing this, or what the challenges are, right? Because if you're having challenges with any of these organizations, then, and we are board members, board directors, we have relationship with these organizations, then we run the interference, right? And then when somebody says they're not hiring from our organization, and we can say, they called you 15 times and you never answered. Or they sent you a copy of their announcement and no one answered. We can say that, but we can't say if we don't know, right? I think that, because the goal is, all of us want the goal is, we want the work done, is me. I can't speak for other people. I want the work done. I want it done right. I want it done on time. I want it done under budget. But no more than the budget, right? Not to exceed. But we also want to make sure the community that's paying for all this work and that has a stake in this work is also participatory in this work. And that is the bottom line for me. I really believe that we have to do just better at including the community. Yes, Kennedy High and the Contra Costa Detention Facility, is great. I wish we didn't have to work with detention facility. I realize that is the reality. Do you work with the juvenile justice system at all? Juvenile
The
injustice?
Martinez Juvenile Hall, yes, they have a construction program as well.
Okay. And a lot of them come from this area, by the way. A lot of them are from West County.
Yeah, we work with, it's called Secure Track, but it's the juvenile or the youth that have not custody terms that are longer. So they're in this training program for at least a year. So on average, there's only about 3 to 5 students enrolled at any given time. But that's worked very well for the instructors because they're only working with 3 students, and that's helped improve their placement outcomes from the juvenile hall.
Okay.
You also said something I think it's actually, we're working on, and we need to bring this to West County, is through the Torrey Institute, the middle school engagement. So I was just speaking recently at the Boilermakers Hall to some middle school students from Pittsburgh. We did one with the middle school in the Monument Corridor in Concord through Mount Diablo Unified. We need to do that here. I mean, I think we need to, work with the district and identify the middle school that we want to do that, get them into a hall, because I couldn't agree more, and I think the data shows that out. If we want to improve the metrics about people keeping these juveniles out of the detention facilities to begin with, giving them something to latch on to early and see, yeah, hey, that's something they can see themselves doing and really generate an interest at that age is a great idea. Love
And
to work
that
on
brings me to the point. I'm glad you say that, because I also think that middle school, high school, but also West Contra Costa has alternative schools. So working with the at-risk, I hate that at-risk. I hate that word. I use the word at potential, right? They haven't discovered their potential yet. And if we work directly with West Contra Costa, and I just happen to know every one of the board members on West Contra, which is why we have to have a good relationship with between you all and the board and the staff, the whole triangle. But working with those potential youth who just haven't discovered where they want, and before, as you mentioned, before they even get to, I don't even want to see them going to the system. And the way to do that is to give them something that says, listen, we can't hire you now, but here's your road forward. Here's your path forward. Because you're dealing with communities where they may not often see a path forward, except for a certain predetermined negative path. So if you can give them something that says, not asking you to go to Stanford or UC Berkeley or wherever. If you don't want to go there, if you want to go there, let's see how we can get you there. If you don't want to go there, we have this other pathway in the trades that could take you where you want to go. And that incentive can really assist at potential youth make better choices. And that's the kind of, I'm hoping, especially from your
Thank you for sharing your
program.
vision. That's exactly what West Contra Costa Unified is embarking on with this program at Kennedy High School. We've also done outreach at DeJean Middle School because that's a primary feeder school for Kennedy. And we actually had a summer trades program since 2023 where we're trying to get more of the students to enter this construction pathway that's starting at Kennedy. So our first summer trades program in 2023, we prioritize rising ninth graders, so people who had just completed middle school and trying to get them into this pathway. And then it's a 3-course pathway, 3-year pathway at Kennedy. And then if you're not quite ready to work in the trades after Kennedy, then you have multiple options. You could go to Richmond Build, you could go to Diablo Valley College, you could go to Los Medanos College. So we're building out that pathway using existing programs because we also don't want to reinvent the wheel. And then Greenwood Academy, we haven't been as involved there, but we have been contacted by counselors who want us to come out and speak with their students because we also understand that continuation high school students, again, we want to keep them in the educational system before they may leave, wherever they may go. So
That's right.
100% in agreement. This is all facets of the education system, from the students to the counselors, instructors, admins, parents. Parents' involvement is very key. So we also go to the Torlakson Whole Child Institute is hosting a Parents' Night at Concord High. So we want to have that same parent engagement at the school districts here, at the schools here.
Yeah, and they have a PLA as well with you. I know. I was at the meeting the long meeting when they had the whole discussion. So you have a PLA with them, and I don't see why we can't be working all of the entities together. And I'm looking down at council, make sure that I'm not gonna jump over a step over a line, but we could be working together to reach the same goal, because we all have agreed that we want to make sure that we have these union jobs and that we have people to take the union jobs, right? But we also want them trained. But a little secret, and I want to say this just for the record, they may discover, as you just said, Megan, they might not even like construction.
Right.
But you know what what they'll get out of it, even after 3 years? They get the training, the discipline, the skills, right?
The confidence.
The confidence, right? They get some speaking to adults, not like you text messaging. You'll get all kind of skills out of these programs that are transferable to something else. And these life skills are important to not only keep them out of a system, but to get them into wherever it is they want to go. So it moves them forward. They may discover that I don't like swinging a hammer, but I like telling people what to do. You know, you might be a good foreman. You know, you've got the skills now to understand when something is done right and when it's not done right. You may be a candidate for us to train you in leadership. You see what I mean?
So the other thing, so I mean, also at one time was a community college trustee, and one of the things, so we were talking about all these pathways with the trades, and maybe the trade, like you said, maybe that wasn't the path they wanted to go, but maybe it motivated them to become an engineer.
Exactly.
Now they're actually an engineer who's built something.
There you go.
Because our universities graduate a lot of engineers that never built a darn thing, you know, but actually having an engineer that has swung a hammer, that has actually constructed, knows how it all works, they're gonna be so much valuable and more employable in the field.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different ways we can motivate. And I'll just say this, that event at Concord High School, we're really excited about that. But my wife of 20 years has been her whole career in alternative schools and continuation schools. She's
Got
like,
it.
oh, that's great, Tim. What are you guys doing at the continuation school? And I'm like, well, you know, they're all invited, you know, so I get that every day. So trust me.
Tell her I'm on her side.
I get that at home, so.
I'm Team Miss Sobrante. I'm like, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. I was at a conference 2 weeks ago, and this is what they were talking about. They were talking about one of the guys who's retiring. He's been a general manager for 30 years. He's retiring. He said the best advice he can give to people is, if you want to be a general manager, start at the bottom and know how to, because he's an engineer. And he said, he even told the young students who were there who are engineers, he said, you will not move forward the way you want to unless you go walk with the people who are swinging the hammer. Because as an engineer, you're gonna see things differently. So even the pathway to management, to being Miss Andrews back there, or to being, you know, a deputy general programs. And I think that that's where we can be most helpful in making sure, especially if when we partner with Contra Costa and with Contra Costa C4, you know, Contra Costa Community College District, right? So those are ones that was like prime for me. Looking at this last night, the pre-job conference is great. I think announcing it in the job walks, reinforcing it in the job walks in the compliance section, which is, I know we do this in my office, is during the job walk, there's an entire section about compliance. And mentioning it and peppering it with, this is the expectation, but the thing about expectations, so thank you, Ms. Megan, for mentioning this. How do you pronounce your last name?
Nazareno.
Nazarito. Okay, thank you. You said it so fast the first time. Nazarito, I got you.
I'm used to 2-minute time limits, so I had to speak fast.
Just go straight in.
Welcome to our place. I've always been taught that people perform not to your expectations, but your inspections, right? They perform to what you inspect, not what you expect. So this idea of, which is why you're here, right? We're I inspected the numbers and I didn't like them. So, but I think that continual engagement, as you mentioned, having the dashboard, quarterly dashboard. And then I know you say it is further up the road, but this is something that I'm interested in because I'd like to see this, and we can put this in I would like to see this in the agreement. I will let them work it out, how it is, because I think it needs to be a flow down provision. What happens if you don't? Because right now, there is no incentive for contractors to, or even subs to have any kind of GFE. There's nothing. But there's also no disincentive to not doing it, right? So we can tell them all day long that the PLA says you need to do these, but if there's nothing that says, if you don't do it, you will not get additional work until your numbers are brought up, right?
That's the best disincentive.
It's the best disincentive because other contractors are look at it like, wait, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Why this guy keep getting jobs and he's not doing what he's supposed to do? He just got his cousins, his nephews on the job. But you know what I'm saying? So I think it has to be there, and I will leave it to you. Madam General Counsel?
Yeah, I think we need to be thoughtful about that because there are legal limitations to what we can actually accomplish.
I
but
figured that much.
So what we may come back with may not be exactly what you're talking about now, but I'm happy to explain why
You know,
that is when we get there.
actually, I figured as much, which is why I kept looking at you, but I know that you'll give me something. You'll give me something. Yeah. And, capital plan, women in the trades, I said that again, I just like
You're
saying
doing an
it.
event for them tonight, aren't
I
you?
just like saying that.
Yes, Tradeswomen Inc. Has an event tonight, so we regularly communicate with Tradeswomen Inc. And then my background is in civil engineering. I'm a licensed civil engineer, so I totally see the impact of construction in this industry has been in my life, but I also saw kind of the ceilings I was facing with policy, so shifting more over to working with the unions, working at this nonprofit has given me more of that, I don't know, empowerment to push that ceiling.
I like it. Director King Meredith, I have a couple more, but I want to give it to you. I haven't taken too much.
Well, I was just checking off what you had said. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going back through my notes, and I see that you had covered a lot that I had mentioned before. But my question, and you all can probably help me out on this, the timeline, when the announcement goes out for the opening of the jobs, is there a timeline? Sometimes when a person hear about jobs, once they're out, it may be just within 2 days. How can we, how can it be more preventable to give them a little bit longer length of time for announcing of positions and announcement of jobs? I know a lot of times when some jobs hit some places, centers, it's within 24 hours, you gotta make it. Is there any way that, the job announcements would go out quicker than, a length of time, a week? Give someone a time to really be able to prepare or get a chance to send in their resumes or make that contact? Or have you had that in since you've been working with these different entities?
Well, that would probably be more of something that staff would work on in terms of just the timelines for when, jobs are posted, when they go out, when the bids come in. One of the things that we've done, we do this more on like a private PLA, but where we say, okay, well, there's like a 14-day before any work commences.
Okay, yeah.
So there is, that'd probably be something that your council and staff, we'd have to work on that, because that's really somewhat out of our control. Like, we provide the labor, but I think in terms of those timelines about when things are posted and kind of the lead time for the work being done for contractors. We get dispatched, we help dispatch folks, but that's probably more of an internal discussion. But depending on what staff comes up with, obviously we would work with them on whatever that looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, so Justin, would we, I see you reaching for the mic, would we be able to work with the Trades Council on, I know that you do the pre-job conference about 2 weeks before the work starts. Can't we sync that, Director King Meredith's request with that? Or I would even back it up to when that the bid is out.
Yeah.
Right? Can't we publish that somehow to say, if you're interested, here's the bid, this is for bidders. And then something parallel to that, and so this is where General Counsel, you will have to snatch me back. Can we do a parallel posting that says, if you're interested in working on this project, do this, contact
Get it in.
this person, or if you're interested, and for our regular website, just a link to this program, just to say, so people know that it's coming. It might be 3 months, but at least I know that I can plan for it.
Yeah.
Do you understand my question?
Yeah, so I think timing-wise, I think there's things that we have to work through, because it's, we're talking with the building trades, they're not the contractor.
Right.
So there's this middle piece that that's not in the room right now, because we don't know who that person is, because we are obligated to go to the lowest responsible bidder.
Right.
So it could be any number of contractors who submit a bid for one of these projects. I mean, there's things that we can do, I think what we're talking about of the informing and just like on our end of just working with the trades of say, this project's coming out. It is in the big bid specs, but it's the person who isn't already employed sounds like who
That's who
you're
I
trying
wrote.
to.
It's,
So,
or
so
who's-
as part of this ongoing outreach effort that's been discussed already, it's the, once a contract is awarded, that work is not starting. It could be a couple months after the contract's awarded before the work even starts. So I think for the contractor side, if they do need workers for that particular project that was awarded, there is time, because they're not starting 2 days from now. So it's more of a coordination and that we could do. I don't know if I can answer your question directly, but there's probably some things that we could do just to really kind of the advertising, just let people know.
That's
Like,
all.
hey, this is a resource, this is how you get there, this is who you talk to, go reach out to them.
That's what I'm looking for,
and
and I
that's
think
what
that
leads to it.
that's a coordination, that we won't step out of, but we
Right.
can point people to
Point
it.
to it.
If they ask us, we can say, oh, go to our website, and on this page, it has the link to, CTWI, or
It's coming
there's in maybe this, General Counsel, you know how we do in other areas, we do the list that says these are the projects pending, these are the bids outstanding, this is when it expires. That's what I'm talking about at that point, because somebody should be able to go in and say, oh, look, West County has 6 open bids, right? And it's something there on that page. This is for contractors. If you are looking for work or looking for training to work on a project like this, it probably won't be this one, but like this, please
Right.
contact Contra Costa Building Trades.
Let's start building a
Like
list.
that. That's what
Yes.
I'm looking for. I'm looking for how do we direct people? And it's a passive direct, because they do have to be on the site. We can send them to the site, but then when they get to the site, they're like, it's a bunch of bids on here. I'm not a contractor, right? But how do I get in touch with the contractor?
Right.
And I know from the other side, that you're not. But you can look and see where these bids are, what is outstanding on our bid list from our procurement department, and see, that there is not necessarily who the contractor is, Justin. It's just that there's opportunities coming.
Opportunities coming.
And in 3 months, this is what, because again, that gives people some kind of insight into, oh, I better get over here. Or next year, there may be something coming down. So I need to connect over here and find out what skills do I need in order to qualify. You can't speak for the contractor, but you can speak for the trades, because you know who you're dealing. You guys know what the
Right.
skills are needed baseline, right? So you can tell people that, well, baseline, you're gonna have to do this, and it might take you a year. Or it might take you 9 months because you've had these skills and you've been away from it. But you can give them that expectation.
Definitely, and I think what you're looking for is more project forecasts and more communication for workers. And I think a version of that lives in the union hiring hall, where they are closely interacting, communicating with their contractors on what their needs are, and then working with their apprentices, working with their apprenticeship program to make sure that there is going to be that pipeline of workers when the job kicks off. I also want to just highlight what Tim mentioned. On private PLAs, we have had some projects where after the union hiring hall, they have 48 hours typically to respond to a local worker dispatch. Then they can open it up to a community partner. So we're serving as a community partner after the hiring hall has already responded to the request.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
So that's another approach.
Yeah, that's the other one that we wanted to look at, General Counsel. And I understand that. I understand that the project forecasting is at Union Hall. Yeah, I'm really familiar with Union Halls, and I know you put them everywhere. You got them all over the walls. Problem is, if you're not at the Union Hall, you don't know what you don't know. And people who aren't working right now or who are working another job, to your point earlier, who are working another job, and they're just like, dang, this job's going in 6 months. And they can't go to the union hall every day, but they can look on the site to see, oh, you know what? Is a job coming, so maybe I can get ready to transition where I won't have this lull of unemployment, because my job is ending here at this project, but I see that they have 9 projects coming.
Right.
And so I'm gonna get on one of these projects.
get
You
on
see
the
what I mean?
list.
That's what I'm looking for, and maybe
Could do on our end, I think, to
that's
promote
what
some
I'm
of those things that are
talking
coming up. One of the other things that we haven't talked about yet, but it is also helpful by just having this communication loop, is if we know when projects are going out, we can help drum up bids. Because, I mean, as Justin
Yes.
said, you guys obviously have a legal obligation, the lowest responsible bid. You benefit from having more bidders. So when we have a lot of signatory contractors in, virtually every, field. So when we know when those bids are going out and, Justin or Angela, like, hey, here's a project, date, it's, bids are due November 15th. Our business managers are on the phone with those contractors, hey, get your bids in, because, so then that way, instead of you guys having 3 bids to choose from, you have 8.
Yeah.
And if everybody knows there's gonna be more bids, you hope you're gonna get more competitive.
Absolutely.
Competitive bids. So we can certainly be a partner in terms of drumming up, potential, contractors, bids for any of the projects.
And I think that's from a procurement person, I love it. I love it. I
right,
think that
right.
that's really good. Some of this can reside in this dashboard we were talking about earlier, right? Some of this information, like the results of this, the having, not just the GFE, but, okay, how are we going? You mentioned having a dashboard, a quarterly, that would be updated to reflect, I mean, it could be updated all the time, but that would be used in the quarterly reporting. But I think some of this information that we're asking for, especially the reporting stuff, can all be rolled in there, not just GFE, but everything else can be rolled in there.
Yes, data is infinite, time is not. So an assessment of the data systems you're currently using, capacity, staff capacity to track that data and reporting, that would be helpful to design this dashboard.
Yeah, the demographic information, all of that. And we need to add that, I believe we said we had to add it to the contract that we want that demographic information. The demographic information, did I turn it off? No, it's just my voice. To make sure that that's there, and then to make sure that demographic information, the updates that is a requirement. That's the data we require somehow. I'll let you word it. Okay, I think that was it on contractor. I think that was my questions. And then we had residency, overtime, tracking compliance. Okay, any more questions, Dr. Gilmore? Okay, so thank you for this update. We are going to kind of soak this in. But, we expect that, I know we're not voting on this, but we do want to give these to the board, but.
Right, and this is just a discussion, so no
Yeah.
recommendation is needed
No,
today.
it's just a
But we
discussion.
have sort of the feedback from the discussion, and staff will connect with the trades, and we will continue to work on what version of changes will be acceptable and what we can present to the board in the
And
coming weeks.
And so before that, I think that since you're going to be working since the staff and the trades are going to be working together on this, maybe we should receive an update so that we can make a recommendation from the committee to the full board. So it's going to have to be next month.
Yeah, so
November.
we're looking at timing, so because
got
we're
it.
at the end of the month, so it's
I
we're
got
at
it.
2 weeks till the next FNA meeting. So
No,
if-
but we can have a special meeting like we
Right,
did
so
today.
if you feel like we might have a special meeting so we can give you an update
I think we
before
do.
it goes to the board.
I think we need it, and.
So
I
so we can get to a board meeting in December?
Yeah, and we don't have a 3-hour board discussion on this. We can.
Right, so,
We've hashed out a lot of it, but I would like to see it before it goes to the full board.
yeah.
And then we can, the committee can make its recommendation, then the committee can make the short, you can make a presentation, the committee can make have its comments, And then we can have the board discussion where it's not, it's,
Drawn out.
yeah, it's constricted rather than protracted.
Yeah.
Will that work? Okay?
Yeah, that will work. So it would probably be a special meeting towards the end of November.
It works for me, it's fine. It's fine.
We'll schedule that.
I'll leave that to you guys to let us know.
Yeah.
To let us know when. We just know that it's, that is coming, and this is good information. Thank you for the update and the discussion.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, sir, back to you. What do you have? Anything else?
That just concludes the item for today. We've gotten quite a bit of information. We're looking at what items we'll be able to specifically add into an amended PSLA that we can bring back to the committee. Quite a bit did go of this, might not be specifically in the agreement, but it's how are we working together going forward to provide some of the information and back to the committee and back to the board about progress. So we'll be working out some of those details in these coming weeks, and we'll
Okay.
come back to the committee before it goes to the board.
Okay, thank you. I did have one more question. Ms. Nazarito. Ms. Nazarito, I have one more question for you. Because we're at that point of the agenda. I know it's not about this. You were getting ready to announce, you want to make an announcement to the public about this Trade Women's event tonight?
Oh, yes. Tradeswomen Inc. is hosting their annual fundraiser. It's a Halloween gala. It's tonight at 6 p.m. I forget the name of the location or the venue, but it's on the Bay Bridge. It's a warehouse building that they have on the on-ramp. But to register for the event, you can go to their website, tradeswomen.org, and you can register there. The theme is Roaring 20s, so costumes are encouraged. I also want to give a shout out to Rosie the River Trust. We also are partnered with them on this Equal Representation in Construction Apprenticeship Grant. So we're working with them to educate contractors actually on how to build a more inclusive workplace. So we just started a grant with them this year, and it's a 2-year grant. So it's great to see more investments in increasing gender equity in the trades.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate that. Yeah. Tradewomen.org and place. This is what I wanted to hear. All right. Any announcements, Director King Meredith, before we? I have none. Nothing? And nothing from staff, right?
Nothing from staff at this time.
Okay, perfect. All right. With that, Madam Clerk, we have an announcement for our next meetings.
The next regular FNA meeting is November 13th at 9 a.m.
13th. Next meeting, okay. All right, with that, thank you so much. It is 10:46, and we are adjourned. It's a wrap.